So what is merchandise? Merchandise, I would say, is anything that is branded with your business. So it can be edible merchandise, but I'm going to concentrate on non-edible stuff. So things like books, bags, hats, aprons, t-shirts that have your branding on it. That is what I would call merchandise. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you some examples because, as you know, I'm a big supporter of independent businesses. So I've, you know, bought a lot of bags and I got a couple of books and t-shirts as well. So let me show you the merchandise that I've bought from other small independent businesses. So let's start off with the t-shirt that I'm wearing. I don't know if you can see, this is a branded t-shirt, Get Baked featuring Godfrey. So I bought this on the opening day of the Get Baked Godfrey shop in Covent Garden. There's something on the back as well. You probably can't see it all the way. So that's a t-shirt that I bought recently. Another t-shirt I bought recently, I did a pop-up. Not I did a pop-up, sorry. I went to a pop-up, 300 Bakery, which specializes in low-calorie sweets. And they had t-shirts as well. So that's 300, that's the name of the bakery. And this is one of their products that they sell, the Original Sin. That was really nice. That's on the back. So that's a t-shirt. Of course, recipe books. If you have any recipes that some bakers obviously don't want to divulge their recipes. I get it, but if you have recipes that you feel that you want to share and people would love to use recipe books. So this is from Dee from Dee's Basement. It's a little of what you fancy. I was gifted this when I went to do her 5 questions, 5 answers. So she gifted me this book. And this book, I haven't baked anything yet, but it specializes in small batch bakes. Because sometimes you want to bake, but a lot of recipes maybe for 10, 15. And if, your family isn't particularly big, your immediate family isn't particularly big like mine, the cake kind of hang around, may end up getting wasted. So I'm looking forward to trying these bakes in this book. This is Get Baked. This book has been out for a while. I actually got this again on the launch day of the Get Baked Godfrey store in Covent Garden. Rich the owner was giving out books to people in the queue. And I don't know if I told you, I think I said in the review I did of that opening, that he was writing in the book and he didn't ask my name, he knew who I was. So that's his signature there. So, recipe books is another type of merchandise. Of course, I've got a lot of bags, so let me show you all the bags I've got. This is from, I think you might have seen this before if you've been around on my channel for a while. This is Sourdough Sophia. That's the back. As you know, they were a lockdown business and they just opened, I don't know what store number this is, 546 in Covent Garden. So they're doing amazingly well. This is Bunhead Bakery in, oh god, it's southeast London. Is it Deptford? Can't remember. So yeah, I've had a lot of people say they really like the design of this bag, and I've used it a lot. It's a really big bag. This is Godfrey's. Now this is Godfrey's before they merged with Get Baked, and I bought this a while ago. I think you might be able to buy them. So that's their bag. Obviously, so I don't know if you know Godfrey's specialise in like popcorn, but they're kind of more into sort of dessert stuff now with the merge with Get Baked. Of course, Astrid. Now this is the second Astrid bag that I bought. I've got a smaller one, but this is a bigger one. Astrid is I really like it. It's really big. Astrid Baker in North London. And I think that's it for the bags. Yeah, so as you can see, I love, if you're an independent baker, dessert maker, and you have merchandise, I will try and buy one of your items. So why do I think you as an independent baker, caker, dessert maker should consider merchandise? It's another way of getting your brand out there, and it's another way of making money without necessarily having to put a massive amount of effort in it in terms of getting ingredients, baking, whatever. I was going to say it's passive income, but it probably isn't because you still initially you still got to put a little bit of effort. So the thing is, you need to decide what it is that you want to sell. Maybe if you're just starting out, maybe just start with like one item, so like a bag. In my experience, I did get a couple of branded items when I had my little bake business, but not to sell, just for myself. So when I did market stores, etc., I'd have a branded Denise Baked Cakes T-shirt or an apron, and I got these items from Vistaprint. Now, Vistaprint is probably the place that, if you're looking at branded items, it's a good place to start because their costs are quite affordable. And with a lot of the items, you don't have to do like a limited, not well, you don't have to do a limited number that's huge. Some places, when you're getting sort of as a mass produced item, sometimes it's like a minimum order of 100. If you're a small business, you may not be able to afford that. But Vistaprint, from what I remember, hopefully hasn't changed, is that you don't have to have like a minimum order of 100, it might be like 10 or 5, which is a lot more affordable. So get your logo or whatever design you decide, and you upload it into Vistaprint, and then you can decide, do you want t-shirts, do you want this? As I said, um, sorry, keep my niece in the background. As I said, it's probably best to start with one item first, and then as time goes on, if you want to add more items, you can add more items to your inventory. So in terms of where to sell it, I hope you have a website. I keep banging on about businesses having a website. You can sell it on your website. You can sell it at pop-ups. You can sell it at markets. You can maybe, if you're introducing merchandise to your business, you can maybe do like a giveaway to get people interested. So in terms of selling, where to sell them, those are my suggestions. You have to kind of maybe look at the long term because initially you may find that you may not be getting as much income, but you've got to think about the long term because the thing with these kind of items is that it's like permanent advertising. Whenever I go out at the weekend, because it's normally Saturdays I go out and about, I always take one of those bags. So one of those bags is going to get advertising for like 4, 5, 6 hours. They're going to see that. So you've got to look at the long term aim. Obviously, like I say, it's a good way to get income into your business, but it's a good way of doing brand awareness. So to sum up, if you want to get into merchandising, decide what item you want to do, decide on one item, decide if it's going to be your logo, if it's something that is going to be, you can have freshly designed. I'm going to say something a bit controversial. I'm want to try and steer away from AI images because some of the AI images that I've seen, I'm not talking about images I've seen in general. It just doesn't look that brilliant. It doesn't look that brilliant. Hopefully your logo would have been professionally designed. So start off with your logo. If you want to design something else, maybe use something like Canva. I use Canva. It's quite easy. But you don't want something that looks a bit, because some of the AI imagery I've seen is just not good. I mean, I'm going to do a separate video about AI imagery because I'm not anti AI, but I just think some of the imagery that I've been seeing, it just doesn't look that good. But anyway, I think a good place to start is with a logo, and then you just, like I say, you decide a bag, t-shirt, whatever. Maybe order like 10, have it on your website. Obviously, you wear one, so whenever you're doing your videos on social media, your pop-ups, whatever, wear your t-shirts. And said, "Oh, do you sell your t-shirts? I'd like to buy one." Advertising. So yes, those are my thoughts on merchandising. Let me know in the comments if you, as a baker or a dessert maker, if you do have any merchandise. Until next time, cake lovers.